Saints and Seahawks coming up tonight as far as the NFL. The Titans smoking the Chiefs. Bengals for real? Question mark. Well, they certainly roughed up. They spanked the Ravens. Cardinals are still undefeated, and Tom Brady wants that MVP this year. 600 touchdown passes.
Against the Bears?
No. It felt like that. I like when Justin Fields does well, it's because of Justin Fields. When Justin Fields doesn't do well, it's because of the coaches and the team. Can't have it both ways here. Although there was a moment in the game that Justin Fields was told that the Buccaneers have 12 players on the field. The first interception, he quick snapped the ball because they told him in the headset, hey, the Buccaneers have 12 players on the field. He thought it was a free play. That's the second week in a row that that's happened to him. You know, they want those coaches gone, but it feels like they do like him. But it's Justin Fields is a rookie. He plays like a rookie. It's not a good team that he's on, which leads us to Patrick Mahomes. Oh, boy. 3 weeks ago, or the start of the season, he's first ballot Hall of Famer. Everybody would want him. You start your team with him. And now, I don't know, is he the second best, third best quarterback in the AFC West? Would you take Justin Herbert? Would you take Derek Carr? These are the things being said about Patrick Mahomes. Ryan Clark of the Mothership had something interesting. He said that he thinks Mahomes is overly confident, trying to do too many things, still trying to be Patrick Mahomes that we've seen before. And these defenses are doing what I said the Tennessee Titans were going to do, and every defense should do. Make sure your safeties are really deep and have everything underneath and frustrate them. Plus, take advantage of that defense that's terrible. And that's what the Titans did. It's not like Derrick Henry had a great game, because when you see that score, you're like, man, Derrick Henry must have had 200 yards. No. They just played good football, all-around football. Offense, defense, made plays when they needed to. And the Kansas City Chiefs did not. But if I said to you, are you all in on Patrick Mahomes? Are you still on the bandwagon, or are you off? But if you're off for good. You know, we're going to leave the gate. But if you're still on, which you should be, Patrick Mahomes, they got the Giants coming up next week. But this is a tough schedule. I mean, if you're looking at the Kansas City Chiefs and all of a sudden magically they're going to return to Super Bowl form, well, just factor this in. They've got Green Bay, Las Vegas, and Dallas after the Giants. Then they have Denver. Then they have Vegas again. Then they have the Chargers, Steelers, Cincinnati. They got some tough games here. Now the question is, can you sneak in? Can you sneak in with 10 wins? That's a team we know is dangerous. It's just like I've said about the Titans. The Titans are a dangerous team once they get to the playoffs, if they get to the playoffs. Didn't start out well this year, but they still have, I think, the nucleus for being a really good team. I flirted with taking them as my Super Bowl pick. Talked about it on the show. And I couldn't quite pull the trigger because I didn't know Julio Jones, how he was going to be, and if the defense was going to be a Mike Vrabel defense. So far, you've beaten Buffalo and Kansas City. You've gotten people's attention. I don't know if people are still all in on them. I think they have the Colts coming up this next week. But what you saw with the Titans are a good team. They hit Patrick Mahomes. They hit him 9 times. I don't care how good you are. We can look at these quarterbacks down through the years. If you do not have an offensive line, and we thought this was an upgrade, you can be an average quarterback. Everybody, every quarterback in history, you're only as good as that offensive line. You start with that, and then you can make a wide receiver better. You can make a running back better. But if you don't have blocking, I don't care if it's Brady, if it's Breeze, if it's Mahomes, it doesn't matter. But when you do have that, then you can see a good quarterback is a great quarterback is a Hall of Fame quarterback. Patrick Mahomes, I think, needs to almost hit the reset button of, what is it that we can take from a defense? Used to be Kansas City dictated, hey, we do what we want to do. Now it almost feels like you have to take what they're giving you, and you got to be patient. But beating the Giants, that's not going to calm any fears here, because then you have 3 tough games after that. Yeah, McLovin.
Can I make the case for Mahomes?
Yeah, sure.
Well, Mike Remmers is on the field as one of his tackles.
Yeah.
That's the guy who we always talk about. It's the worst. He always gets killed in the Super Bowl.
I know.
He's out there.
Yep.
They traded their left tackles from Baltimore. You never trade with Baltimore. Baltimore is the best talent evaluation team in the league. Then they never touched the ball. Tennessee held the ball for an 8-minute drive touchdown, 8-minute drive field goal, 8-minute drive. Mahomes was never on the field. You can't score when you're not on the field.
But this is the philosophy to beat the Chiefs. Control the clock, limit the number of times they get on the field. When they do get on the field, they're used to making things happen. Kelsey, Hill, Mahomes, Andy Reid. We make things happen. Well, then you don't make things happen. Then the next time you get on the field, you're like, now we really got to make something happen. Well, Patrick Mahomes is back to the gunslinger. This was the label when he came out of college. Oh, he's a gunslinger. This is why a lot of people weren't high on him. He's still a great quarterback. They still have great weapons. The offensive line is not an upgrade right now. And you saw that, what happened in the Super Bowl. You thought you could address that. When you go against a good defensive front, they're going to put pressure on you, and they knocked him out of the game. But if you're off the bandwagon, then you're completely off the bandwagon. But this is all week to week. Like Joe Burrow is now Joe Montana. Prior to this, people are like, Joe Burrow. I remember when he went into the draft. Well, I don't know, 1 year. He couldn't win the job at Ohio State. He was average his previous year at LSU. Like, all of these things happen. They're told. And then you go in and you smoke the Ravens. The Ravens last week, oh, my God, Lamar Jackson's the MVP. Nobody's doing more with less. They just beat the Chargers. That's what happens. They sacked him 5 times. Who knew Cincinnati's front was that good? Because they kind of pieced it together, getting these players from other teams. Jamar Chase, spectacular. Joe Burrow not getting hit as much. That's really important. He was sacked once. But each week, we have to have an opinion, a referendum. And that's the way it is until next week when something happens or doesn't happen. And then we'll change our opinions. Yes, McLovin.
The Chiefs, I think, play the Giants next week on Monday night. Is that, even beating them, is that enough to quell the Patrick Mahomes worry?
No. But you can't win by 6. And go back to what I said at the beginning of the year with Kansas City. And, hey, look, Kansas City was my Super Bowl pick. Kansas City and Green Bay. We can't change it now. But they didn't win games by blowing people out. And I think you got the impression that, oh, my gosh, this team, they dominate you. They can come back from anything. Well, they allow teams to stay in these games. It's rare when they beat somebody by double digits. But let's see what happens. Now is when Kansas City has to regroup to say, who are we? Because I don't think Kansas City knows who they are right now. And that's probably the biggest surprise. Kansas City not looking like a formidable team. But give credit, Tennessee was the better team by far yesterday. At halftime, it was over. Cincinnati Bengals doing what they did. Now you're going to get are the Bengals the best team in the AFC North? Not yet. But I think it's a great story. And I think that tandem of Burrow and Chase is, that's one of those where you go, that's in the embryonic stages, but that could be something very, very special. And they did all the things that you would want a team to do. You go into that place, which is a tough place to win, and you beat a good team. Now, did I think that it was maybe felt like a trap game for them? They just beat the Chargers? A little bit. But that's why the line, I think, was only 6 points. Because they thought Cincinnati Bengals could go toe-to-toe.